My fucking moment for me, I don't really have many, but it was a turning point for me was I worked for Alameda County for almost 13 years. I was the best at what I did. I typed 90 words a minute. Like, I'm not just a street nigga. I graduated high school with a 4.0. Straight nerd. Like, I can tell you everything about Microsoft. I detailed cars for 30 years. Like, I'm not just a nigga that sell weed. But I worked for Alameda County for 13 years. Did everything in my power, took every class, every training to become a manager, to move up. And I noticed it was just always a reason why I couldn't move up. You'd interview me for the jobs, you see I got all the qualifications, but you wouldn't hire me. And it got to the point where it was like depressing. Like, I hated going to work. I loved my job because of what I did. I worked for the Alameda County Office of AIDS. I worked for public health. I worked for welfare. So I loved my work, but it was just no growth. I was still detailing cars, still selling weed. Most of my clients was my co-workers, but I got tired and I just literally quit. I mean, I had my union rep do what we need to do so I can get my severance package, and I cut. Didn't have no future plans, didn't know what I was gonna do, but it was like I didn't want to do this shit no more. I didn't necessarily go through a dark period, but being with a parent of 5 kids with a wife, how do you just quit your job? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? I mean, I sold enough weed to still get by, but it was like, nah, I don't want to just sell weed. So I took that moment and I'd already been detailing cars forever, but just I'll do one here, one there. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go full-fledged in my detail. I went and bought all my equipment, and within a year and a half, my detail business had me making more money than I ever made at Alameda County, just on word of mouth. And that was my, of course, with the support of my wife, et cetera, but that was my moment to be like, bruh, fuck this. You're a serial entrepreneur. I only work for health benefits. That's the only reason I ever get jobs, for health benefits. If it was up to me, I could sell weed and detail cars all my life. So it was a turning point to say that, go back to your roots and get back to your entrepreneurial thing and say, fuck this 9 to 5. And that's what I did, you know what I mean? And I ain't rich, but I'm on my way. So, and it just took hustle and grind, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's being able to be a man and realize, okay, this ain't for me. And no matter what nobody else think, like my family, like, why would you quit a good job and all retirement and all your pension and all? I'm like, look, I've been working since I was 13. Like, I've had an employer since I was 13 years old from working through city jobs as a teen. And like, I don't want to work all my life. That was my daddy then. He preached work all your life, retire at 70. I didn't want to do that unless I'm working for me. So my fucking moment was about 2000 when I left the county, 2008-ish, 9-ish, I think is when I stopped working for the counties. And I just said, fuck it, and moved on. What I tell everybody is get in now in the cannabis space. And it's not just about getting in to open a dispensary or grow weed. There's so many other facets to cannabis that you can get into. You can be marketing, you can be filming, you can be making the lights that go in the grow labs, finding your niche in the space and getting in now. But again, just being able to know that everyone's not gonna own a shop, everybody's not gonna be able to grow weed. Find your niche and get in. That's like the main thing I preach to people as far as like what's going on now is getting in. They don't really want us in. They kind of threw us a little, bone and say, hey, let me get you in. But then like you said, it's $130,000 for a license. What person has $130,000 just sitting around that's a poor person? You got to be poor to qualify for these programs. So it's been kind of like a reverse war on drugs, kind of, sort of. But people like me, people like Al Harrington, other people that's in the space, just going around trying to get the message out and explain to people how to not sign their life away in these deals, how to understand that you being black or brown in cannabis is a golden ticket and knowing what your golden ticket is worth, as opposed to selling it for crumbs, because that's what's going on too. So it's just kind of like just being able to listen to people that's got good knowledge and are willing to share it, like me. So for me, the 3 things that I've learned in the cannabis space, and I've been on the, so just real quick, I've been in the illegal cannabis space since I was 16. I'm 40. So 24 years I've been selling weed. And what I've noticed with the legal, it's just like the illegal. It's the exact same thing. So I've learned that, one, in the cannabis space, illegal and street and legal, it's the same concept. You got to approach it the same. You got to move the same. You got to look at your connection the same. 2, I've learned that as much as I'm about black power and empowering everybody to do their thing, it's a bunch of black people that don't give a fuck about us and want to sign us over to white people. So I've learned about watching predators and watching predatory practices of how they interact with us in the cannabis space. And then 3, I've learned that nobody that's making the decisions in the cannabis space, in the government, have any experience in cannabis. So it's kind of hard for you to make laws in a space you've never done nothing in. Like, how are you doing that? Like, I'm not a plumber, so I can't go give you tutelage on how to be a plumber, but you can tell me how to sell weed and how to tax it, etc. So them are three things that I've learned of, I've learned a lot more, but just in the space that I can take from being on both sides, like going to jail for selling weed and now selling weed legally in the same city I went to jail for selling it in the same zip code. So to be able to do that, I've seen that. Like when I go into my meetings, it's just like going to the streets. Like, it's really like these people don't give a fuck about us. So you gotta go, like Al said yesterday, you gotta walk in the room and be the boss and let them know, I know my shit. I'm probably know more than you, and this is what we finna do. So again, three things: predatory practices, it's just like the streets, and what was my third one? I said it already, but yeah, those are my three things. If I could talk to the younger Alfonso Tucky Blunt, I would say to him, you did it. So 21 years ago, I had went to my first dispensary with my grandmother. I always take her around on her errands. She smoked weed, grow weed, all the shit. And we drove around in Oakland. There was a dispensary. The first dispensary ever anywhere in the world was on 19th and Telegraph. We pulled up. I didn't think nothing of it. She came out with her little white bag. I'm like, Granny, what's that? She talking about, it was weed. I'm like, wait, you can buy weed in there? She like, yeah. I said, oh, I want one. That was in 1999. So what I would tell myself then is, you was on the right path. I didn't know then. Didn't know I would ever own a club, how we fell into this and all this. Like, never knew it was gonna happen, but I knew I wanted one. So I would just tell my young self, you did it. Like, you wanted this and you obtained it. You did. Like, I'm not just a plant. Like, I really born and raised in Oakland, sold weed in Oakland, went to jail for selling weed in Oakland, went to a school called Oaksterdam that teach you about legal stuff in cannabis, graduated from there in 2008. I also would tell myself, just stay on your path. Like, it was meant for me to do this. Like, my last name being Blunt isn't a coincidence. You know what I mean? My partner's last name being Moore isn't a coincidence. We were supposed to be in this space. And just telling my younger self, you did it. Like, you stayed on your path and you got your dispensary 20 years later.